Good evening, everyone. This is the October 14, 2020 meeting of the Auburn Conservation Commission. Permit me to confirm that members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. So members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Allison Holmes. Allison Holmes. Okay, outstanding. Michelle Carros.
Here.
Okay. Tom Fallon is not here, and so right now there are only three of us. If Nathan or Tony are available and can sign in, I would request that they do so. We have three. Right now, we are a six-member commission, so we don't have a quorum. We need a majority. 3 out of 6 is not sufficient. That's exactly what we're going to do. Yeah, I'm going to try to contact them, so stay tuned.
While we're staying tuned, Mike and Allison, if you could actually send me your information again, because I lost my cell phone last weekend, so I have nothing anymore. So if you could email me that, that would be lovely. Thanks. It'd be good to have everybody's numbers.
Nathan, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm present.
All right, perfect. So we do have a quorum. As I indicated before, Tom Fallon could not make it tonight. I do not know if Tony's available or not. So for town officials and employees participating, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Building Commissioner Caleb Moody. Here. DDIS Director Darlene Coyle.
Here.
Land Use Clerk Ginger Butow.
Here.
All right, very good. All right, good evening, everyone. This is this open meeting of the Town of Auburn Conservation Commission of Wednesday, October 14, 2020 is now being called to order at approximately 7:04 p.m. This meeting is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12, 2020, due to the current and ongoing state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the virus, we have been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings, and as such, the governor's order supersedes, or rather suspends, the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. This order, which you can find posted with agenda materials for this meeting on the town's website, which is auburnguide.com, allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. For this meeting, the Conservation Commission is convened by remote participation for the public only, although some staff may be physically located in the Selectmen's Meeting Room at the Town Hall. These town employees are also practicing social distancing in accordance with the governor's orders. For the public to join the meeting remotely by telephone, call 1-408-650-3123 and enter access code 942-845-549. Or the public can join via computer at gotomeeting.com/join/942-845-549. The remote access information has been posted on the town's website identifying how the public may join. And please also note that this meeting is being recorded by Auburn Cable Television. So in terms of ground rules for our meeting, and most of you are aware of these, when you participate in our hearing, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you, and please take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. Someone needs to mute their phone. All right, I'm going to continue. Thank you, Caleb. All right. Okay, for meeting materials, all supporting materials that have been provided to members of this body are available on the town's website. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda. Sir, is it Mr. Darch? Mr. Darch, please mute your phone. Is that better? Okay, that's good. Mr. Darch, we've muted your telephone. Do not turn it back on, please. All right, we are going to be turning to the first item on the agenda. Before we do so, permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. So I, as chairman of the commission, will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After I conclude my remarks, I will go down the line of members, inviting each by name to provide any comment, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Please remember to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. For any response, please wait until the chair, which is me, yields the floor to you and state your name before speaking. If members wish to engage in discussion with other members, please do so through the chair, taking care to identify yourself. After members have spoken, the chair will afford public comment as follows. I will first ask members of the public who wish to speak to identify their names and addresses only. And once I have a list of all public commentators, I will call on each by name and afford 3 minutes for any comments. Finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by roll call vote. All right, the first item on tonight's agenda is a 7 p.m. public hearing. Albert Blaker LLC for a notice of intent to construct a multifamily housing apartment community at 109 Tinker Hill Road and 26 Albert Street. Is there a motion to open? Okay, and who is that?
Michelle.
Thank you, Michelle. Is there a second? All right, thank you, Nathan. Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
It's a vote. All right. Is anyone here on behalf of Albert Blaker LLC? Thank you, Mr. O'Connell. I'm going to ask anyone else who is listening in to this meeting to please mute your telephones because we are still getting some feedback. I got 2 callers that. All right. Thank you. All right, Mr. O'Connell, why don't you proceed, please?
Multi-family apartment community off of Albert and Blaker Street. It will be accessed through an actively constructed subdivision. Quick overview, just as a reminder for everyone here at the meeting. The project is being permitted through the the Zoning Board of Appeals pursuant to the Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 40B, which is a provision of the law which provides affordable housing. Towns who do not meet the 10% goal of affordable housing stock in their community is subject to this law. I'm happy to report that with this project, along with others that are actively permitted, the town will achieve that goal, which is something you should be proud of as your role as conservation commissioners. So there are 324 apartment units spanned over 12 multi-story buildings. There are 5 8-bay parking garages, a 6,000 square foot community center with swimming pool and other amenities, a separate maintenance and trash recycling building, and about 500 parking stalls to service the 12 buildings. There was a site visit performed last Saturday for those who were in attendance. The wetland that were delineated were reviewed and investigated. I'm not aware of any concerns or outstanding comments, but we're happy to address any that may arise tonight. The stormwater system, as I mentioned at the last meeting, is fairly conventional but reliable. It's a series of deep sump hooded catch basins which will convey stormwater runoff through closed pipe network to one of 2 primary stormwater infiltration basins. The stormwater system and other aspects of the engineering plans have been reviewed by VHB in their review capacity on behalf of the Zoning Board of Appeals. We received comments today by the DEP in their issuance of the file number. If you weren't aware, Mr. Chairman, that came in this afternoon.
I haven't seen it.
The few comments. Okay, yep. The few comments they made as part of their issuance have actually, already been addressed as part of the VHB's review. So as far as I'm concerned, there are no outstanding comments related to the engineering aspects of this project. There could be a lot to talk about. There could be very little to talk about depending on questions that the members may have. So I think, with that brief overview, I'm happy to yield the floor and follow your lead, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Thank you, Mr. O'Connell. So several of us did go out to the site 2 Saturdays ago. We spent a good amount of time on the site, basically looking at the delineated wetland. Speaking for myself, I found that the wetland flags were accurately reflected on the plan that was submitted. It's a large site. It's got an interesting topography, to be sure, but I've got a very good sense of where the buildings are going to be laid out. There's an isolated land subject to flooding that we investigated, and again, it appears, based on my examination and observation, that the plan that you submitted complies with the way the wetlands were delineated. So, based on that, placed on the sidewalk and the notice of intent filing that you submitted, along with the peer review by VHB, I'm satisfied that you have complied with what you need to do in order to submit this for an order of conditions. Having said that, I would like to see what DEP, what their comments were. I don't have, as I indicated, I haven't seen their remarks or their response to what you submitted. In addition, we are a bit short-handed tonight, and we have 21 days after we close the public hearing to issue the order of conditions, assuming we do that. So those are all my comments. I'm going to invite the other members of the commission to go in, and so Allison, if you are still on, if you could unmute your phone, and if you have any questions for Mr. O'Connell.
The areas that are going to cross into the
those decisions were made, if there's any thought behind that.
Sure. If the presenter could move the plans down to maybe the third sheet.
I'm looking at C-4.2.
Sure. If we actually just go up to C-2.0. Okay, we can stay here. So the area, this sheet depicts it the best. If you look at the building on the most northwesterly part of this plan, it's a portion of that building and a portion of the building just south of that. So that is building number 10 as labeled on the plan, and building number 11 below it.
Okay.
So those buildings, because of the topography on that part of the site, are going to be walkouts. So there will not be excessive amounts of earthwork in a cut and fill from an excavation standpoint. It's just that because they're walkouts, the walkout elevation will be very close to the existing grade of the site in those locations today. But the corner of building 11 clips the 25-foot, in the 50-foot buffer, and a little bit of grading necessary for that building just goes a hair into the 25. But building number 10, north of building 11, number 10, you can see a portion of that clips the 25-foot buffer, and some very insignificant grading in order to accommodate that building goes a few feet into the 25-foot buffer. Really what it comes down to, the placement of these buildings, is more or less a result of, trying to provide all of the required parking, proper turning movements for fire apparatus around the site. And what that does is, it just, when you soften these curves in the road and you make the radiuses around turning movements a little bit bigger, things just get kind of pushed out a little bit. So we made every effort to stay out of some of these jurisdictional areas. But as a result of trying to satisfy some other life safety, try to reduce excessive amounts of blasting and earthwork, it just forced these buildings to be slightly in the 25-foot buffer zone. But again, I do want to say that there's no excessive excavations or fill to accommodate this situation. Those buildings will be walkouts on the lower side, and the walkout elevation is very close to the existing elevation in those locations. So, like I said, very minimal earthwork to accomplish that.
What kind of erosion controls are you proposing?
Well, those will be a wattle and silt fence combination in that area.
Okay.
I would just
Yeah,
like...
I definitely... Oh, go ahead, Tom.
Okay.
Mike, sorry.
That's all right. So, Mr. O'Connell, you understand that in order to do it, if any part of the project is within the 25-foot no-build zone, you understand that we have to give you a waiver, correct?
Yes, that's correct, and I believe a request was included in our application package.
Right, but you understand there's a three-part test that has to be complied with in order to obtain the waiver. You are aware of that as well, correct?
What I would like to say, Mr. Chairman, is that because this project is being permitted under Chapter 40B, local wetland regulations and bylaws are not applicable.
What's the authority for that, sir?
So although that is Mass General Law, Chapter 40B, all local zoning and local regulations are not applicable. If Caleb is still online, he should be able to verify that.
He's shaking his head in the affirmative, so we'll give that one to you. All right. I mean, I guess my question is this. As I'm looking at the plan, how difficult would it be to shift everything to the east by 2 or 3 feet so that the 25-foot no-build zone doesn't come into play at all?
Well, it seems like it would be insignificant, when you look at a two-dimensional plan, but the domino effect does present it, to be pretty challenging. We made some revisions from our original plan submitted to the ZBA to accommodate some requests and requirements from the fire department for their fire apparatus maneuverability around the site, and this was the result, just going slightly into the 25.
All right. Michelle, do you have any questions for Mr. O'Connell?
I did, but based on what he just told us about that law.
40B? Okay.
No, I think we're good.
All right.
Fine. No, I think I'm all set.
You think you're all set? Okay. Nathan, any questions for Mr. O'Connell? Okay. Is there any member of the public that has any comment on this project? And if so, please identify yourself by your name and your address. Okay. There appearing to be none. Is there a motion to close the public hearing? Okay, and that's Nathan. Thank you, Nathan. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second that, Michelle.
Thank you, Michelle. Is there any further discussion? If there is none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, all right, it's a vote. All right, Mr. O'Connell, we've closed the public hearing. I think I'm inclined to work on the order of conditions properly at our next meeting when I hope we will be fully staffed with commissioners. So with that being said, sir, the public hearing is closed. Thank you for your participation, and you'll be hearing from us soon.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the next item on our agenda is the 710 public hearing, Silver Street Realty LLC for an abbreviated notice of resource area delineation at 21 Brook Road in Auburn. Is there a motion to open?
So moved. This is Nathan.
Thank you, Nathan. Is there a second?
I'll second that, Michelle.
Thank you, Michelle. Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, it's a vote. Is there someone here on behalf of Silver Tree Realty, Mr. Jordan?
Yes, Scott Jordan here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine, sir.
Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
Okay, great.
Good.
Yes, I've been listening along intently. Yes, Scott Jordan from Ecotech, representing the applicant. Yes, so just a reminder, this is a continued hearing for an ANRAD, and we are seeking review and confirmation of the delineated wetland boundaries on the site. We did have the site walk last weekend, and there were several people there, and I believe we answered all questions at that time, and be happy to try to answer any further questions if there are any.
Okay, Mr. Jordan, thank you. As he indicated, we did walk the site last Saturday. Again, it's an interesting site. It's about, I believe, 6 acres. as shown on the plan. We basically used the plan and reviewed the flagging that has been done on the property to see if it was accurately reflected on the plan, which it appeared to be. So we think that, again, for purposes of delineating the resource area on this property, at least my opinion is that the plan that was submitted accurately reflects those conditions that were flagged by the applicant. And so based on my observation, I'm satisfied that the applicant has complied with the requirements of the Wetlands Protection Act and the regulations, and I'll leave it at that. If Michelle, do you have any questions?
I do not,
Okay.
no.
Allison, any questions?
No questions.
Okay, and finally, last but not least, Nathan, do you have any questions?
No, I don't have any questions.
Okay. Is there any member of the public that has any questions for Mr. Jordan or has any comment regarding the NRAD for this property? If so, again, please state your name and also your address. Okay, there being none, is there a motion to close? Anyone?
This is Nathan. I'll make a motion to close the public hearing for 21 Springbrook Road in Auburn.
Thank you, Nathan. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All right, and that's Michelle. Thank you, Michelle.
Oh, Michelle.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, it's a vote. All right, Mr. Jordan, I'm not certain that we will have a decision for you tonight, but we certainly will. If not tonight, then at the time of our next meeting, which is October 28th.
Sure, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it, too.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask a quick question? I'm representing a client on the agenda, and I just noticed they're at the very tail end of the meeting at 6 Commonwealth Ave, and I was wondering if the commission would consider giving me 2 minutes to discuss that one at this time, or if you prefer, we can hold off.
Mr. Jordan, speaking for myself, I have no objection, but let me poll the board. Michelle, any objection to taking up 6 Commonwealth Avenue out of order?
I have no problem with that. Nope.
Okay, Allison, any problem or objection to taking it out of order?
No, as long as we're allowed to do that in case someone else is coming on. I don't know. The public, do we have to worry about the public being on at a certain time?
Okay, is that a yes?
I'm fine with it as long as it's okay.
Okay, and then Nathan, any objection to taking this out of order? Considering that Mr. Jordan says he's going to take 2 minutes?
No, I have no objection.
All right, Mr. Jordan, you got your 2 minutes.
Thank you very much. That's all I need. So that 6 Commonwealth Ave, I know, Mr. Chairman, you're aware of the property. There's an enforcement order on this property. It's a single-family house lot. The property owner just purchased it, I believe, and he's renovating it, did some grading and clearing in the backyard. He hired us. We have delineated the property. There is no work within the wetlands. It's close. We've asked him to put up an erosion control barrier, and my recommendation would be to walk it with the commission, and we can try to decide on what the appropriate restoration method might be. I think that's the best and quickest way to get it done, rather than waiting around for plans to be repaired and stuff. So that was my recommendation.
All right, the weather for this Saturday I don't think is very good. I think it's supposed to rain on Saturday. And just again, speaking for myself, I think another sidewalk would be helpful, especially if you were a guide at the property. So I don't have an objection to that. I think it's a question of just scheduling it. So I don't know, Scott, if you want to schedule it for Saturday and then see what the weather brings. Because my idea of a Saturday morning frolic is not, in the mud, being in the mud. Others may disagree.
Yeah.
So, or if
Last time I looked, it was rain till 10 or so. So I don't know if you consider early Sunday or the following Saturday.
I wrote for the following Saturday at that point. This is Michelle.
I actually agree with that. So can we schedule it for the following Saturday, which I believe will be the 24th?
Yep.
So how about October 24th, say 9 o'clock?
Sounds good.
All right, we'll see you then.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you, sir. Okay, going back to our agenda, the next item is a 7:20 public hearing. Eastland Partners, Inc. for a notice of intent to construct a pad-ready commercial site at 190 Washington Street in Auburn. Is there a motion to open?
I move to open
Okay, Michelle or
the
Allison?
meeting.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Michelle. Is there a second?
I'll second this, Nathan.
Thank you, Nathan. Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, it's a vote. Is there someone here on behalf of Eastland Partners, Inc.?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, again, Steve O'Connell from Turning Point Engineering.
Hello, Mr. O'Connell. Long time no see.
Hello, everyone.
All right, so we have, I don't think we've been out to the site yet, but why don't you just do a run-through of what the project is?
Sure, thank you. I will start out by saying that you have been to the site. It's just been a little while.
Okay.
The commission issued an ORAD for this property located at 190 Washington Street. It's a commercially zoned property on Route 20 just before the Mass Pike overpass if you're heading west. It's a 56-acre plus or minus parcel of land, 54-acre, and it is zoned industrial park, and the applicant is looking to essentially create a pad-ready building site. It's very difficult to market successfully commercial property when the timeline on the development or the delivery of a building or a product, cannot be nailed down. And due to the amount of earthwork that needs to happen on this property to make it marketable, we have chose to prepare what we call a pad-ready site plan. We've had success with this in other communities and under similar circumstances. So we have submitted a notice of intent that shows all of the proposed earthwork and grading and stormwater management to accommodate potential two commercial building sites. One would be along the front of the property along Route 20, and the other would be at the rear. All access would come from Route 20, from Washington Street. And what that does is that requires the crossing of two wetland resource areas. One is simply bank, and when you cross bank and with no bordering vegetated wetland alteration, there is no replication required as that resource area is not being altered. The next resource area we do propose alteration to is a BVW, and therefore replication area is included with our proposal. So the reason we look to access the rear of the property is because that's where we have earth material available for excavation that can be brought to the front to create a building pad site. For the design of the stormwater system, it has been designed very conservatively. It assumes that 90% of each of of the building pad sites will be impervious. So that includes pavement and roof. So 90% of each of the 2 building pad sites would.
You're frozen. Mr. O'Connell? So I don't know if you can hear me, Mr. O'Connell, but your image is frozen and we don't have any audio from you right now. You may want to refresh your screen. Mr. O'Connell, can you hear me?
Hi, Mr. Chairman. My name is Clay Williams. I work for Eastland Partners. I'm giving Steve a call right now to see if we can figure out his connection issues.
Yeah, it appears he just
Getting back on the line.
he just dropped out. So you know what? We're going to suspend the meeting, and hopefully he will be back on shortly. So we're going to take just a very brief break. Okay? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Outstanding. I hope. Okay. Well, so we are going to you cut out suddenly, Mr. O'Connell. So I don't know if you remember your train of thought. You're talking about the pads consisting of 90% impervious material, I believe. And you're frozen again, sir. Mr. O'Connell, can you hear me?
Okay, yep, it looks like I'm back.
Okay.
Okay.
There are 2 of you.
What was...
In any event,
When I lost my computer, I tried to get on my phone, so I think one might be my phone. So I'm on my computer.
Okay, very good.
Okay, what was the last thing you heard me say?
You were talking about the 2 pad sites consisting of about 90% impervious area. Does that sound right?
Okay. Yep, that's right.
Okay.
So the stormwater system was designed very conservatively. It's very difficult to make assumptions about what building or what use or what commercial operation will exist on these building pad sites. It's an if you build it, they will come scenario, which is quite common with commercial development. So we were very conservative. 90% of the building pad sites were assumed will be impervious. So we meet the stormwater standards in that regard. So what you may have missed me saying was that the excavation, the soils that are needed to fill the front of the site to a building pad elevation will be extracted from the rear of the site in the preparation of that building pad. So we expect all of the earthwork to take place from on-site materials. They will be trucked from the back to the front as the preparation of both commercial building pad sites are prepared. We have a access permit for this work issued by Mass DOT. The work will be performed under your zoning bylaws for earth fill, with earth materials being used just from on-site sources. So that application will go directly to the building commissioner and requires review and approval from the Conservation Commission because of work proposed within your jurisdictional area. Other than the crossing, which is necessary to access the rear of the property, all work is outside of the 25-foot buffer zone.
Okay. And thank you for correcting me. I absolutely do remember walking the site with you. I remember it was a cold day, and it's a large site. Not all of us had an opportunity to walk it, and I think you probably know our philosophy. What's rendered two-dimensionally doesn't always reflect actual site conditions, and so we like to take a view of the site. I think even though we have been out to the site, and I guess that was probably back in March, it was certainly before I think the onset of the pandemic or the restrictions that were caused by the pandemic. I think it would be useful again to specifically look at the sites that you're planning to construct on. I'm curious, how much material, you talk about trucking material, how many cubic yards of material do you anticipate taking from the back of the site to meet your needs to build the two paths?
From memory, I think we're looking around the order of around 60,000 yards from the back brought to the front.
How many truckloads is that? Any idea?
Well, the good news is that when that sort of construction occurs on site, it's with different trucks that would travel on the road.
Okay.
So, we're looking at, of course,
It's all right. It wasn't intended as a trick question either, so that's fine. I understand.
No, not at all. What I can do, Mr. Chairman, is I can have an accurate number for when we have the site walk.
Okay. And
This is Allison. A truck normally carries about 30 cubic yards, or 30 tons, I'm sorry.
30 tons.
20 cubic yards.
So that's what.
Yeah, these will be off-road big end dumps that can carry more.
So that's what, about 2,000 truckloads? In any event.
Well, if we were using the typical on-road and dump trucks, trailer dumps, that would be the figure. But with large on-site construction end dumps, we can load more. But I'll get you some accurate numbers. I don't want to speculate and mislead anybody.
Okay, that's fine. Now, I think as you heard before, or maybe you didn't, I guess the weather is not too favorable for a site walk this Saturday. Would you be available for a site walk on Saturday, October 24th?
Yes.
Okay. And is that something we could do perhaps around, shall we say, 9:45?
That sounds fine, and that'll give us an opportunity to perhaps stake some things out so we know where we're standing on the site relative to certain wetland resource areas, et cetera.
Okay. And do we have your permission to continue the public hearing in this matter to October 28th?
Yes, we do.
Perfect. So before we move on, I wanted to know if Allison, you have any additional questions?
So the amount of soil you were saying, is that not leaving the property?
Yep, correct. It's going to be the material we need to build up the pad site in the front of the site will come from the rear of the site.
Got it. Great.
Okay, thank you. Michelle, any questions for Mr. O'Connell?
No, actually, I don't. Nope.
All right, thank you. Nathan, any questions?
Not at this time.
All right. Is there any member of the public that has any comment regarding the notice of intent for 190 Washington Street? And again, if someone wishes to comment, please state your name and your address. All right, there being none, is there a motion to continue the public hearing for 190 Washington Street to October 28th?
meeting until the 28th of October.
Thank you.
At what time? I'm sorry.
I don't know if we have a time.
Oh, we can put it for 7.
We'll do it at 7 p.m.
At 7 p.m.
Thank you, Michelle. Is there a second?
I'll second this, Nathan.
Thank you, Nathan. Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. All right, it's a vote. Mr. O'Connell, thank you. Thanks for working through the technical glitch, and we will see you on October 24th at 9:45 a.m. And I guess we'll meet where we met the last time, which is at the overpass, or actually the
Yep, there's
underpass.
plenty of parking under the Mass Pike overpass, so that sounds great, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you, sir. Have a good evening.
Okay, you too, thank you.
All right, thank you. The next matter on our agenda is a 7:30 public hearing, Town of Auburn, a request for determination of applicability to conduct routine maintenance at 35 Mill Street in Auburn. Is there a motion to open?
So moved.
All right. Allison, I think you beat Nate by a split second. Is there a second?
I'll second this, Nathan.
All right, thank you, Nathan. Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All right. It's a vote. So we have received a request from Mr. Coyle to continue the public hearing in this matter. Apparently notice has to be given to abutters. And so having said that, is there a motion to continue the public hearing in this matter to October 28th at 7:15? Ginger?
Yeah.
Okay, 7:15.
So moved. This is Allison.
Thank you, Allison. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Nathan. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, it's a vote. The next matter is the 7:40 public hearing. Town of Auburn, Department of Public Works, a notice of intent to renovate an existing vacant building at 261 Central Street in Auburn. Is there a motion to open?
Yeah, so moved. This is Michelle.
Thank you, Michelle. Is there a second?
I'll second this, Nathan.
Okay, thank you, Nathan. Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All right, it's a vote. So, thank you. Mr. Coyle has also requested this matter be continued to our next meeting on October 28th, so that notice may be given to abutters. And having said that, is there a motion to continue the public hearing in this matter to October 28th at 7:30 p.m.?
This is Michelle. So moved.
No, I said it first.
Okay.
All right. Now,
It's all you, Allison.
ladies, we're not keeping score, all right? So, and also, as chairman, I reserve the right to call the tiebreak. So I'm going to give this one,
Oh, no.
it's all right, I'm going to give this one Allison. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Michelle.
Michelle.
That's right, we're a team.
You're welcome.
All right, is there
Yes.
any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All right, it's a vote, thank you. All right, the next matter on our agenda is the 7:50 public hearing, and it is 7:50, so we've caught up. 13 Hill Street LLC, a notice of intent for the addition of to an existing building at 13 Hill Street in Auburn. Is there a motion to open? Anyone? Bueller? Is there a motion to open?
I moved to open. This is Michelle.
All right, thank you, Michelle. Is there a second?
I'll second this, Nathan.
Thank you, Nathan. Is there any discussion? All those signify by saying aye, please. Aye. All right, it's a vote. Is there anyone here on behalf of 13 Hill Street LLC? That is the sound of silence. Again, is there anyone here on behalf of 13 Hill Street LLC to present their notice of intent? There being no one here to present the notice... I'm sorry, is there anyone here on behalf of 13 Hill Street LLC?
Seems like caller 2 is trying to talk.
Caller 2, identify yourself, please.
Did Caleb shut up his line?
I'm sorry?
All right. Let's try this again. Is there
My
any...
name is...
Caller 2, can you identify yourself, please?
My name is Joe Morrissey. I'm listening into this conversation for an application I put in to remove a tree in my backyard. I am not involved with 13 Hell Street LLC.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Morrissey. I appreciate you identifying yourself. If you would please hold on and mute your phone or your computer.
My phone is 508-832-9844.
Okay.
I didn't know you were speaking to me. I didn't understand.
No, I'm going to actually mute you.
I haven't done this before.
I understand. It's new. All right. Thank you, sir. All right. Because no one is here on behalf of 13 Hill Street LLC, we'll pass this from our agenda. I don't quite understand why they're not present, but we will just take it off the agenda. Perhaps we can send them a letter indicating that they were scheduled, but since no one appeared on their behalf, we did not take it up. So, did we get a request to remove a tree?
Yeah, he dropped it off today.
All right, Mr. Morrissey, if you could unmute your phone or your computer. All right, I will. Okay, he did. Mr. Morrissey, good evening, sir.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I understand that you dropped off that request today?
Yes, I did.
Okay, well, sir, we kind of need more advance notice than that. Your request was not added to our agenda. I'm certain that we can add it to our agenda for the next meeting, which is October 28th. All right, so, and at this point, we don't know...
That'll work, I guess.
At this point, we don't know what time it's going to be, sir, but if you've been listening in, sir, and I don't know how long you have been, we have public hearings, and then there are other matters such as yours that we take up after the public hearings have been conducted. So my advice to you would be, you can go to the town website and you can click on the agenda for what will be our agenda for the next meeting, and you will see your request on that agenda, okay?
I'll see what I can do about that, but I don't have a computer, so that's why I'm calling in. All right, but okay, so I'm going to hang up then, and that'll be that.
Before you hang up, sir, I would suggest maybe you can join us at 8 o'clock on October 28th.
Yeah, okay, all right.
All right, thank you, sir.
October 28th. Okay, thank you. I'm hanging up now.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right. received some complaints.
What causes that echo, Mike?
I beg your pardon?
What causes that echo to happen?
God, I don't know. I don't know what causes it. You still getting an echo?
Anyway, sorry to interrupt.
That's okay.
No, as soon as he hung up, it stopped.
Well, I guess then he must have been the source of it. So, moving on, someone sent a complaint in about Chapin's Brook having silt in it after a rainstorm we had on October 1st. So I haven't been out there. I don't know what the source of the silt was. Except between October 1st and today, I don't think we've had any rain. So perhaps we can take a look during our next site walk on the 24th. The next complaint had to do with at the solar field that's being constructed at 476 Leicester Street. I think there's a claim that some of the siltation measures may have failed during that rainstorm, and I believe someone sent us a picture of that. Again, I think it's something we need to look at in person. And if the erosion controls have not been reestablished, then we certainly are in a position to notify the owner and tell them that they need to do so in order to comply with the order of conditions. For other business, we received a request for a certificate of compliance for 20 Tinker Hill Road. And there are the pictures. I would suggest that we take a walk, and we actually do a site walk of 20 Tinker Hill Road when we go out on the 24th, so we can determine if, what has been done there complies with the plans that were submitted. With respect to the extension of the ORAD for 100 Millbury Street, Mr. Fallon and I walked that site last weekend. And it's heavy brush and there are wetland area. This is adjacent to the fitness center, Impact Fitness. We actually saw grapevines there, which was interesting. Again, Mr. Fallon's not here to echo my remarks, but the wetland had been delineated by Mark Arnold. It appeared that the area that he delineated did comply with the plan that was submitted. It appeared that the delineation was in accordance with the Wetlands Protection Act and the associated regulations. It's a challenging site to walk, but we were able to do it. I don't know if it's if the board wishes to take any action on the extension at this time, or whether you want to defer this until the next meeting. I will tell you that based on my observation, that the flagging of the ORAD again did comply with the plan that was submitted. If it was up to me, and I'm speaking only for myself, I would grant the extension, but I'm more than happy to listen to other members of the commission, and if you would offer me your thoughts, I would appreciate it. So I'll start with Nathan.
I'm in support of extending the ORAD as written. I've been to that site. I hadn't walked through it with you guys this weekend, but I think it is properly delineated, and we could extend it as written previously.
Okay. Very good. Thank you. Michelle, do you have any comments?
My gut is to say extend it until we could talk to Tom, but I trust you. And if you're saying it looks good, and if Nate's saying it looks good and he was there, then I'll go with that. I wasn't able to go last weekend, so I'll say, yeah, go ahead. We'll grant it.
All right. Yes. Very good. And Allison, last but not least, any comments, Allison?
No, not for that project.
Okay, very good. In that case, is there a motion? Anyone? Bueller? No. Can I have a motion, please, to grant the extension for the ORAD at 100 Millbury Street? Thank you, Allison. Is there a second?
I'll second. This is Nathan.
Thank you, Nathan. Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, it's a vote. Thank you, everyone. The next item was the request for the partial release on an order of conditions. We actually had voted on that back in our last meeting, so that matter, that's all set. We've addressed Mr. Jordan's request for a site walk on 6 Commonwealth Avenue, which we're going to do on October 24th at 9 a.m. And then finally, and last but not least, I think, Michelle, you may be aware of the property. I think other members may be too. Nathan, probably not. But we have had a long and tortured history with 498 Rochdale Street. This is, and I don't know if any of you had an opportunity to look at the unilateral administrative order that Ginger provided to you, but this property first came to our attention back in 2014. Those of you that knew Dan Reich will remember, I think, that Dan and I had walked the site originally. And really, if you want to get a history of what's happened at that site, read the administrative order, because it really sets it out in good detail and in chronological detail. I will tell you or suggest to you that we have issued 3 enforcement orders with regard to that project. When it appeared that the property owner, whose name will not be mentioned, just refused to comply with our order, the order of conditions and our enforcement orders, we then referred the matter to DEP. DEP then, from what I understand, as we were not directly involved, had dealings with the property owner. I think because they were unable to reach an agreement, they issued a unilateral administrative order, I believe initially back in March, and I think again in May. I had a conversation, and I forget the person or the name of the person I spoke to at DEP, but my understanding is that the order remains in effect. We do not believe that there has been compliance with this order by the property owner. And so at that point, and in response to a complaint from the abutter, I then inquired about whether DEP would be taking any further action, including perhaps legal action in the form of a complaint to seek injunctive relief. I don't think we didn't get an answer to that, and you know that's fine. That's a policy matter that they will address. But I also inquired if our board, the Conservation Commission, was prohibited from taking any action while the DEP proceeding was pending, and I was advised that there was, in fact, no prohibition or limitation for things that we could do. As members of the commission know, in our regulations, we specifically have the right to issue fines. I think actually I'm proud to say that we have not had to use that power because people that have, and applicants that come before our board, they propose their projects. We look at them, we review them, we issue determinations based on what is submitted to us and what we see on site, and in really almost every case, the applicant or the property owner complies with the order of conditions that we end up issuing. Under our regulations, 1.09, which is enforcement, our regulations state the following: any person who violates any provision of the bylaw, the rules and regulations promulgated under it, or any conditions of a valid permit shall be punished by a fine of not more than $300 per day for each offense. Each day or portion thereof, continuing violation shall constitute a separate offense. The bylaw, these rules and regulations, and all orders of conditions may be enforced in accordance with the bylaw by any town police officer or any other officer having police powers. And in the case of any unauthorized work, the offense shall be deemed to continue each day until the area is restored to the condition that existed prior to the commencement of unauthorized work. Now, I don't consider the issuance of fines lightly, but I will tell you, based on my experience with the specific property owner, that they refused or have refused to comply, not only with our orders of condition, but also our enforcement orders, and now have failed to respond appropriately to an action brought by DEP. And my suggestion, and the reason I bring this up is that I wanted to discuss with members of the board a course of action here, because as far as I'm concerned, it's been 6 years since, or more than 6 years since this matter first came to our attention. Remedial efforts need to be undertaken. And I wanted to discuss with members of the commission what course of action you would like to take, if any, to see if we can compel the property owner to comply with, again, our order of conditions and any outstanding enforcement orders that we have. So I'm going to open it up to any of you that would like to offer comment.
On finding him or going in there and trying to ask him again to, again, take down, I think it was take down the chicken coop that he had?
Well,
it was
the chicken coop, I think, was a Board of Health. I'm sorry. My understanding, Michelle, is that the chicken coop on the bank, and I think you were there when I think we were there at the same time. It was right on the bank of the channel, like right on the bank.
Right.
I believe that was moved in accordance with the Board of Health.
I think there was, well, it wasn't even just that. So I think that when Scott came in the last time, though, he said that he believed that there was, what did he call it, a sheet? That with the way that the water was going down, the way that they channeled it, or the way that they graded that area that he kind of dug up, that it was going down in a sheet, that they were going to try and channel it better or put it in the way that we had actually outlined originally when we first came in. And it doesn't seem like he's even attempted to do that, right?
I think,
and that's why the neighbors are actually flooding?
I think, to answer your question, I think you're right. So if you were, I think it was actually Scott Jordan who came in with a proposed restoration plan. My understanding, however, is that the property owner established a channel, but it did not comply with Mr. Jordan's plan, and as a result, it actually increased the wetland area to the point where it was adversely affecting the abutter. And so, exactly, I think that's correct. I'm inclined, before we hit the property owner with a fine, I think my inclination would be to send the property owner a letter. I would attach a copy of the unilateral order, which sets forth, again, in specific detail, and it's very thorough, the sort of, course of events at the property. Give that person or the property owner a specific deadline in which to comply, and then put that person on notice that effective on a date certain, they will begin to be fined. So that's number one. Secondly, I think we need to decide if that is a course of action that the commission wants to take. We also need to decide what the amount of the fine will be, because again, under 1.09, we have the ability to fine up to $300 per day. I think $300 a day is punitive. I think a lesser amount as a fine will send the message. And again, it's not because the purpose, it's like anything else. It's like when you speed on a road and you get a speeding ticket, it's meant it's punitive in the sense that you're being punished for conduct that is against the law. It's also intended to send a message that if you speed and you get caught, you're going to pay a lot of money, and and as you know, it's intended to encourage compliance with the law, and that's what we want. We want compliance with the order of conditions and the enforcement orders. So. I don't know if any of you have a specific amount in mind. I don't know if you would prefer to send the letter, present a deadline, and then if the work is not done by that deadline, then consider the amount of a fine to be issued. What are your thoughts on that?
Again, are we going to go back to when, this was supposed to be done? Because it doesn't seem like...
No, it would be... We can't... We can't issue fines we can't impose retroactive fines. My God, that would be tens of thousands of dollars. But we can...
That would be... Exactly. So that's what I mean. It doesn't seem like he's really actually paying any heed to even the DEP. From what
I think you're right. I don't think there's need for further warning. It's been addressed, and now it's time, I think, to issue the initial fine and see if we can get any response.
All right. So my understanding is that it's actually a ticket that he gets. Allison, what do you think?
Yeah, this is Allison. I would have to agree with you, Mike. I think we should send a letter and say, this is the situation. We're not going to put up with this anymore, and that we would propose a fine, and give them a short window, but
okay.
Yeah, that's my preference. And as far as a number, I don't know. It's hard for me to gauge that because I've never done that before. But
that's right.
Would $50 a day be too much?
It might not be enough. And so let's talk about the first part. It's October 14th. I can draft a letter, and it can probably go out tomorrow or certainly by Friday. That would provide a 2-week window. Now, honestly, is 2 weeks enough time for the conditions to be remedied? I think it can be. I think given the fact that the homeowner or the property owner has had ample opportunity to make changes and hasn't done it, I don't think 2 weeks, frankly, will make much difference to this person anyway. So I think my thought was give him 2 weeks to respond, and maybe he or she responds. Maybe they say, well, this is what we're going to do. Maybe we see some attempts to comply, and then at that point we make a further determination on issuing fines. But I think we need to be steadfast here. What I was going to say is that if the conditions complained of in the unilateral order are not addressed and are not taken care of by November 1st, and October 30th actually is the last business day in October. The next, I think it would be Monday, November 2nd. I think we need to put the property owner on notice that effective November 2nd, if that's the day we want to use, a fine will be imposed, and cite the regulations regarding enforcement and indicate that the fine or penalty is per day.
I'm okay with that. And I'm just going to add this as well. He was, if I remember correctly, he was kind of openly hostile the last time he had come in. Mm-hmm. The homeowners that are being impacted by his actions, I can't remember what their names were. Have we heard from them?
Oh, yes.
Recently?
We did. In fact...
We have?
Well, I'll be honest with you, it was actually an inquiry from the property owner, the adjacent property owner, asking what was happening with the DEP proceeding that led me to call DEP and then have the discussion that brings us to tonight. So I think, we're sick of it in our capacity as members of the commission. I think she and her husband are sick of it because they live next door and they've had to put up with this for 6 years.
Yeah, it's not even that I'm sick of it. I do feel for them as well. So as far as that goes, he's made no attempt. So I think that the fine should be significant. I mean, he's made no attempt.
Okay.
He's come in, he was openly hostile. I think that he pretty much left that day saying he wasn't going to do it. I mean, we can go ahead and send another letter asking him to do it by a certain date, but I can pretty much guarantee it's not going to get done.
Okay, so two questions then. What's the deadline, and how much should the fine be?
I would say the deadline would be, pretty quick. I would say at least see some action by the November meeting. At least see action by that meeting. Or see him doing something.
Now, we only meet once in November and once in December, and I don't know what date we're going to meet in November. Do you, Ginger?
Yep.
Okay.
Hold on. Please hold.
Okay.
It would be the 11th, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, so isn't that Veterans Day? Not that we have it off.
It is Veterans Day. That was something that I was going to bring up to you. Yes.
Okay.
Because I noticed it on the calendar.
Is the town hall going to be open on Veterans Day? No. Okay. So we can't, in that case, we cannot have the meeting on November 11th.
Right. I didn't know. I was going to ask if you wanted to move it to the week before, the week after.
Okay, that's a different issue. All right, so as it turns out, we would normally meet, what is that, the second? That's the second Wednesday in November, and that would be our only meeting for the month. However, November 11th happens to be Veterans Day, and the town hall will be closed. So I guess the state celebrates Veterans Day, or at least certain aspects of the state do. So we then have to decide if we want to meet on November 4th, which would be roughly a week after our October 28th meeting, or meet on November 18th. So, but we can discuss that in a moment. Michelle, so not knowing when we're going to meet in November, do you still want to give...
I know I'm sounding kind of jerky about this, but I mean,
no,
again,
it's fine.
It's been 6 years. It was actually the first. This whole thing was actually the first thing that we discussed as me as a board member. Like, it was like the first thing. I
remember that. You came in at an auspicious time. Nathan and Allison, though, I don't think have hands-on experience. Tom would, I think. He would remember this because I'm sure he's been out to the property over the last 6 years or so. All right, so why don't we pick a date in November for compliance? Can you, any suggestions besides, say, November 11th?
Okay. I'm good with the 1st. I mean, like, seriously, I'm good with the 1st.
Okay, and November 1st, I believe, is a Sunday, so why don't we make it Monday, November 2nd? I mean, it's not going to make a difference, really. And then if there is no compliance by November 2nd, do you then want to impose a fine?
Yeah.
How much? What are your thoughts on that?
I'm thinking $750.
Well, no.
A day?
No. Under our...
Oh, no, not a day. I'm sorry. So are we just doing a ticket, or are we doing a day?
If you look at our regulations, actually, the fine is up to $300 per day, so it's cumulative. Although you raise a great question, are we talking a series of, I don't know if the answer is a series of tickets or whether they will issue one ticket per week for the total amount. I don't know that. I will have to consult with a higher authority.
Okay.
But again,
Because if we could do like a weekly, yeah.
but again, keeping in
That would
mind
be
that,
cool.
that our regulations call about daily fines, what is the amount of the daily fine you are thinking of?
I like 75. But I'll go low on that. I think $75.
Okay, $75.
Or you could do high. I mean, yeah. Like then it's not 100.
Okay, it's halfway, right, I got it. Nathan, what do you think?
I'm okay with 75.
Okay, Allison?
I'm okay with that. I'm wondering about the deadline and how we're going to enforce this. So I just think we have to be willing to go there on that date and look at it and make sure or see what he's done or hasn't done.
Well,
I will.
I think you're absolutely right. I will say to you that November 2nd is a Monday, so if he has complied with the order, we would be able to go out that weekend and take a look. So I think you're right. I mean, obviously, if the applicant says that he's done the work, we need to confirm that. So I think
I
by...
don't know if that would affect the date that we want to use.
Well, actually, no, because if the work isn't done by the weekend before Monday, November 2nd, then we know that there's been no compliance.
Okay.
Okay? So,
I'm okay with all of that then.
all right, so can I have a motion then?
I move that we send the property owner at 498 Rochdale Street another letter saying that if he does not comply again with the order of conditions or with the, I don't know, what do you even call it?
It's a unilateral administrative order, and also we can say our order of conditions in our enforcement order, so we can put that all in there.
Put all of that in there. By November 2nd,
Right.
2020, that we will, as the town of Auburn, start charging him $75 a day as the penalty until he complies.
Okay. And what I will do is I will draft a letter. I'd be happy to send it to you for your review and comment, and then we can send it out. So that is Michelle's motion. Is there a second?
I'll second. This is Nathan.
Thank you, Nathan. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Okay, it's a vote. All right, so I will work on that letter, and I will present or send you copies tomorrow, and then we can make sure it gets out. So we have no other matters in our agenda. However, I would like to introduce the newest member of the Conservation Commission. His name is Patrick Cunningham. Patrick has been listening attentively, I presume, to our meeting. And so, Patrick, if you want to unmute and introduce yourself, feel free to do so.
Through the entire meeting. My name is Patrick Cunningham. I will be joining you on Wednesdays moving forward. I moved to Auburn about a year and a half ago, and I've been looking for an opportunity to impact my community positively. I've worked in public water supplies in several levels of government, and I'm excited to offer what I have to the Conservation Commission and aid in the decision-making moving forward.
Thank you, Patrick. I appreciate that. So, Patrick, you'll actually have an opportunity if you want to get your feet wet, hopefully not literally. We do have some sidewalks coming up on October 24th, so we can send you the information so you can actually go out and walk through the woods with us, if you're going to be available.
I will look into my schedule. I will absolutely take a look at the information and get back to you and schedule with you.
Okay.
The sidewalk.
All right, outstanding. Well, again, welcome aboard. We appreciate you showing interest in the commission, and we look forward to working with you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for allowing me to introduce myself.
Absolutely. So if there is no new business, is there a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn. This is Michelle.
Thank you, Michelle. Is there a second?
I'll second. This is Nathan.
Thank you, Nathan. Is there any discussion? There being none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All right, it's a vote. All right, everyone, thank you very much. I know it was a long meeting, but I do appreciate your participation, as always, and I will see, hopefully, all of you, or most of you, at our site walks, on October 24th. So have a good weekend, and we will see you soon. Thank you.